In this video, we are discussing what was going on in the palace. What type of foods were prepared for the royals, what kind of foods the late Queen Elizabeth II preferred. What role food played in her life? Stick around to find out what is the one thing that the Queen could eat with her hands and a real story about how a chef reacted seeing the Queen in the kitchen at 5 a.m. What did she ask for? You would never guess. But this channel is much more than that. We have explainer videos for many of your questions about diet and nutrition. So join and help us reach 500 subscribers by the end of 2022. First, what you should know is that the late Queen Elizabeth loved both the French and the British cuisine. She especially loved the French classic dishes and even insisted that the menu in dinners is written in French, which was fluent in. Of course, traditional British cuisine was also strongly favoured, such as filet steak with mushroom whiskey sauce, salmon from the River Dee when she was in Balmoral, pate from smoked local fish, and even local fish and chips, although very occasionally. As she aged, her diet became much more controlled, I guess, perhaps going for low-starch meals with vegetables and quite less fat or cream that some of the French dishes will have. But what it's fair to say is that Her Majesty was never a foodie or someone with a serious interest in gastronomy. She viewed food as fuel to keep her going, to give her energy for the job ahead, for the next meeting, for her royal duties, which is, as you know, she was taking them very seriously. Her schedule was busy and preferred to eat light during the day. We all know how sluggish or sleepy a large meal can make us feel midday. Despite her travels and opportunities to taste different cuisines, the Queen was never an adventurous eater. She stuck with the basics. Yes, she was occasionally trying a few new things. She loved chocolate, for example, in her desserts. Elaborated or not, she loved a freshly baked biscuit, but she kept a thin and rather fit figure, I guess, all her life. Didn't have the genes for obesity or bulimia, let's say. The Queen had a Victorian upbringing, which combined with the royal protocol and practices, I guess, of the palace, dictated some rather strict rules when it comes to foods. So forget finger foods. It was reported that the only thing she could bring in her hands, she could pick up with her hands and bring it to her mouth, was actually no food. It was afternoon tea, so to say. But seriously now, the real no-no foods are pizza and especially garlic. Strongly flavored foods that produce bad breath was a no-no for the palace, and it still is. Does the Queen ever visit the kitchen? First of all, it's not kitchen, it's kitchens. There are several rooms for food preparation over there. I mean, imagine for a second the standards for fresh produce, the best quality ingredients, through and through, that you cannot produce even if you tried very bad food out of them. In palaces, the kitchen is not the next door room, as you can imagine. In the castle, for example, the kitchens are downstairs and they are manned by several chefs and other staff, like on a 24-hour basis. This means that it's not a small journey from the Queen's chambers to the kitchen wing. But occasionally she was visiting the kitchens. I am told by Nikos, a Greek chef that was hired to work for the crown, and this is his story. Nico said that 2 days before Harry and Meghan's wedding, the Queen came down to his kitchen about 5 a.m., very early in the morning. It was absolute silence in the Windsor Castle. He slapped the chef's back, took him by surprise. She asked him for a fig jam. He did not have one handy, and when the Queen asks you to do something, you must do it. So Nikos immediately left the castle, tried to go to the farm next door to fetch a fig jam for her. Apparently he couldn't go out easily enough because the crowds wanted to see the Queen had already gathered outside the palace. Hence it took him longer than expected. By the time he had the jam, 1 hour later, it was actually too late for the Queen. She quickly dismissed the idea of fig jam, moved to something different, another type of breakfast perhaps. Probably nodded him, too late, thanks, but no, this kind of nod. I don't know, I find that quite fascinating, to be honest. A rather personal story from someone who met her, told truly, not to idealistically, not too, just too realistically, it has to be said. Nico said also that Charles, the new king, is much more open to different tastes and world cuisines. For example, we remember the visit to Greece and how warmly he enjoyed the local cuisine over there. Will this bring a fresh breath of air in the royal palaces when it comes to food? We shall see, we don't know. By the way, the royals loved their tea, especially Earl Grey tea. Have you tasted it? It smells amazing. But in this channel we love coffee. And if you want to find out all about several aspects of coffee, the Greek coffee, the decaf coffee, top tips to make the best coffee at home, go and watch this playlist over here. And of course, subscribe for similar food content, explainer videos, and many more surprises. See you in the next video. Bye!